people would join, sir. Idea, yeah.
Okay, got it. So just few more minutes. We can wait. Then after which I think I can start the session.
I think we can get started, sir.
Then I
I think we can get started, I'm saying, because people generally are good at by this time. Yeah.
all right. Okay, now this session, robotic process automation. There are three different words. Okay, one is automation, yeah, then process automation, and the word robotic added to it. Automation, I hope everybody has a knowledge upon, right? So it's like a human work, a repetitive work done by humans can be automated, maybe by tools, a program, or a platform. Then process automation, it's like there is an entire process going on. Okay. Even that process is repetitive, happens on a daily basis. And when I say daily basis, it should be a rule based. The first prerequisite is it should be a rule based task. Rule based, highly repetitive task or process is what which can be automated. But just a minute. Yeah. So there was some background noise at my side. Fine. So what I was talking about is highly. Is my voice not audible?
It's a little breaking, sir. But it
It's
is
okay
okay.
now because I'm a little bit very close.
Yeah, it is okay now.
Okay. Yeah. So what I was telling is when we say process automation, especially in robotics, in RPA, I'm talking about, there are some prerequisites. First prerequisite is it should be rule based. Second prerequisite is it should be highly repetitive. So rule based, highly repetitive tasks can be automated using a technology called as RPA. Now, any idea why the word robotic is added? Or rather, let us slightly delay that discussion why the word robotic is added. Before that, in your workplace or in your area, in your platform, or maybe wherever vertical, in whichever vertical you are working, what sort of automations you have seen or implemented till now? So from that, maybe we can decide what exactly is the definition of RPA and how does it align with whatever concepts we'll be studying and how will it be useful for further automation at your workplace also. Yes, if we can start with any of the vertical in which you are working, and there are some tasks which are highly repetitive, rule based, and those are either automated or can be automated. Okay, one says accounting software is there. I'm just reading the chat. I'll come to you one by one, those who have raised the hands. 3D design. Okay, that I'm not sure of. Okay, financing and accounts, right? Well, that is what you're talking about. So might be like reading invoices. Okay, got it. So first start with, yeah, Jhansi Rani, you can go ahead.
Yes. So this is from my side. I would like to give you a very simple, what we done it for the robotic process automations. Like we have a traditional change management process. Like we are doing. I'm from the product company, so SAP. So we do the coding. So once the coding is done, then we will start ask the business users to test. Okay, so that means I have to initiate the testing. Then I would like to send the email notifications from in development to the to be tested to start. So I'm using one SaaS product that would not give you the email notifications. So what we will do, we will use this robotic process automations to use the simple if class. Yes, if the status has changed, please trigger the email. This is one way where we use this for the process side. Other one also we used it for this robotic process automation in the proactive monitoring. Like we have a real productive systems. Before the system got down, um, this robotic process automations can identify the alerts, and it also automatically try to solve the problem. Like for example, if you want to change the OS level parameter, or if you want to extend the memory to make sure the system is not going to down. So these kind of ways we use this robotic process automation. It's like extending your process with simple if class. Yeah.
So what you're talking about is somewhat closely related to predictive maintenance.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, kind of. Okay, all right. So the data what you feed into your RPA tool that you create, will it be a manual text, simple text-based data, or will it be a real-time streaming data? What kind of data is that?
It's a real-time streaming data. It keep on reads, or maybe the system keep on puts data to the tool. Like you can say simple CPU usage. So
Mhm.
system keep on check the CPU usage once it's completely exceeds the threshold, then system automatically restart the process. Yeah.
Okay.
Then it goes back to the stable mode. Yeah.
So the volume of data might be huge if it is a real-time streaming.
That is true also. That is true. That's why we activate only this for a very few KPIs and very few real productive systems.
Understood. Fine. Thanks for that use case. Yeah. Next, Prince.
Okay, sir. So I would like to describe one of the use case that's where the RPA we had used into my organization. It was about the retail banking where we had to collect the data from for the customers, and then we had to verify that KYC document on top of it and update the multiple system and send the approval emails. So what we did for that, so we had used one of the RPA package that we had, that was Automation Anywhere. So what it was doing, it was starting the bot and opening the Excel where we had the data for all the customer. It was reading the data and putting back into the different websites where we had to put it. And after that, once the data was placed into the website where we wanted to have it, and after that, it was automatically clicking the submit and sending the confirmation email, and that's where the bot's process gets updated and completes. So that kind of one of the use case that we had in the past where we had used this automation process RPA.
Okay. Now I can see two or three different parallel use cases in the application that you spoke. One is the KYC updation. Is that also automated?
Yes, KYC automation is also because what was happening, because the data that we got from the client and the data that we have into our system, it was actually comparing both this, because you cannot just straight away and go, because there's a verification needs to be done specifically around their government IDs that are available with us, and then we are comparing whether the data is accurate and it is maintaining the integrity and it is holding the all the credential that we need to open this account for them. Yes, that part was also the part of this whole process, and I think we had updated it back into 2017 or 18. In fact, 2019, I would say, not into yeah.
Okay. Okay. Then what you're doing is one step ahead of simple RP automation. Because when you say you are cross-checking, you're updating, that means you're extracting the text from whatever documents are being uploaded in the form of KYC, then maybe cross-checking it at the back end. That means you're also doing some NLP task, natural language processing
Mm,
task as well.
No, I would say, because why I say no, because the questionnaires that we had, so basically when a client who is interested into one of our product, we had one of the page we had provided to them, and they were sending their details. They were filling up those details, whoever are interested into it, and
Mhm.
that data gets stored back into our database, and then we our customer representatives actually approach to them and get the details whether they are really interested or not, because sometimes you may have a user who just for
Got it.
fetch the
Yeah.
data, right, fetch the data and then
Okay, one similar kind of case study I thought of showing you in the next session, that is next week, in the form of demonstration. It will be like it will be centered around, if suppose I want to do a background checking of my new joinees or my employees or my customers. If suppose I have some 50 background checks to be done. So what one process is to ask individual people to upload or send their documents, then create individual folders for each manually and store those documents in each of the assigned folders, and then start the background process. So until this point, until the start of background process, everything can be automated with a simple click of a button. That we'll see in our demonstration session next week. Okay. So you people, I think you have used automation anywhere. In our demonstration, we'll be using UiPath. That is another platform, just similar to automation anywhere. Okay, nice. Any other example, or we are good to start our session? Okay, fine. Now, this is my small introduction about myself. I'm a global professor of practice at Upgrad GGU. I'm a PhD in IoT, and I have used AI/ML concepts and other technologies in my PhD also. And yeah, RPA is one of my top skills along with AI/ML, data science, and IoT. So if you don't have any further questions on my profile, I would like to move forward to this. Yeah, if anybody is interested to connect with me on LinkedIn, I'm available there as well. Okay. Now, the agenda, I intentionally kept it blank. The reason being, just as we have started with a discussion, right? We started this session with a discussion. So that's the reason why I wanted to continue that particular protocol of having a two-way discussion throughout the session today as well as the next week. So basically, it's like exchange of information. The automation, what you're doing at your workforce, aligning to that, what possibilities we can explore in the form of RPA and UiPath. And then maybe if you think those are highly aligned to your workforce, to your workplace, then you can integrate them at your workplace as well. So that will be the main focus of this and the next week's session. That is a mutual discussion. Now to start with, to come to a alignment, I would like to know your understanding with respect to the word RPA. So start with a question. Which of these do you think is true about RPA? You can select whatever you think are true. This is a multi-choice question. So whatever options you feel are true, you can select that. Okay. I got one response for now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Nice. So Peter says all. That's a nice attempt. Okay, well, none. Very nice. Okay, Sam says only 3 and 4. Right, I got, yeah, my sample of responses are enough, I think, to continue. Right, so if you want to do an individual analysis on this, okay, what we say is it will replace human workers. Now, it's good that, I mean, I saw in my previous sessions, most of the participants used to select this, the first option. Okay, RPA will replace human workers. Now, what do you think? How much is it true? 50-50, 70-30, or not at all, 0-100? Because this is one of the most debatable concepts I come across, not only with respect to RPA, but with respect to AI on a whole, right? AI, Gen AI on a whole. Okay, Sam says, yeah, human decision making. We'll see some concepts. Okay, there are some scenarios, there are some use cases where a complete autonomy is also possible. It entirely depends on, obviously, decision making, when it should be 100%, when it should be less than 100%. Right. But yeah, one bottom line truth is that the repetitive tasks which are done by humans can be automated. Right. But we'll see, when we further discuss, we'll come across places where, or points where, human involvement in decision making is required or it is mandatory. Okay. Yeah, Jeff says, yeah, human values, I mean, many processes that human performs on a daily basis, and again, which are highly rule-based, can be obviously automated. But again, the scenario, how much is the automation percentage? Is it 100, 10, 90 or so? That we'll discuss. This is not true nowadays. Earlier, when RPA was introduced, this was slightly true, but now you have some drag and drop no code interfaces. Low code, no code technologies are there, tools are there, drag and drop interfaces are there that will take care of coding at the backend. So as a user, you need to just select one particular interface, which is of your use. Then the entire coding is taken at the backend itself. RPA has visual interfaces. Most of the platforms provide visual interfaces. Yes, it is true that it works 24/7 also. Right? Once you deploy any platform or once you deploy any bot, we call it as a bot. Whenever we create a tool using RPA, we call it as bot. So that bot can work 24/7. This is not true. It does not interpret data. But yeah, there is an automation called as IPA, Intelligent Process Automation. So this is where AI is combined with RPA. Yes. Yeah, Jeff, what you said is right. We will come to that point. Okay. Yeah. So there is a concept where AI is integrated into RPA, and this is where the decision making along with human intelligence is integrated into automation concepts. Right. That is called as IPA, Intelligent Process Automation. And yes, automation is possible everywhere in every vertical and not only for IT departments. Okay, now let us see what is a robot in RPA. Okay. Now I normally come across this, the word robot, whenever is integrated anywhere. The first picture that comes to a human mind is something which is walking and talking, just like humans do. But in RPA, robots are computer coded softwares. They are not those walking and talking robots. So these are all computer coded softwares or the drag and drop interfaces that I was talking about, which are here to replace tasks performed by humans, which are repetitive and rule based. So this repetitive rule based task using programs can be converted into a computer coded software. And this is where it becomes an entire tool, entire process automated system. And yes, it is a cross-functional and cross-application macros. I hope you know the meaning of the word macros, just like we have in Outlook, in Excel, in memories, we use this word very frequently. Okay. because a program which is automating these rule-based tasks, and if this particular set of instructions are coming again and again in the process, what will I do? I'll take this set of instructions, store it in the memory, give it a name macro, and whenever required, call that macro so that all the instruction will be called and it will be executed one by one. Okay, I hope this differentiation, this information about robot in RPA is clear. Without any confusion. Yes? Okay. I don't see any questions. Now consider this scenario. So this is a task to be performed. Downloading the data from ERP, opening the Excel file, opening the downloaded Excel file, put a filter, say by ID, filter the data by ID, copy the filtered data, and paste the data in a new Excel file. Right? Currently, all this entire task is performed by human. Now, do you think this can be automated? If yes, at what levels, at what different boxes you think automation is suitable? I'm using the word suitable. Okay, this is task number 1, right? If you want to number it, this is 2, 3, 5. So 5 different tasks are there. So what is your take on this? Do you think all 5 can be automated, or 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4?
All 5 can be automated, sir.
Okay. All right. Anybody who says it requires decision before coming to a conclusion that all 5 can be automated? Decision in the sense a management decision. Does it need management related decisions, or as a RPA engineer or as a automation engineer, I can independently take a decision of automating all 5?
As long as you know which IDs, that's all.
I
Okay.
think we always having a macro options are there, which we can
Yes.
write on top of it to decide a filter to append a decision wherever we are in a position where we need to take a decision whether I need to pick up this set of data or this set of data. So in that case, macros are always there, which we can tweak to make sure that this task go along with the with the pre decided rules.
Okay. Yeah, I synchronize with Jeff. Okay. What he's saying is the task number 1 needs clarification.
Yeah, that was my thought. Task number 1 could be really straightforward, or it could be pretty significant. It could be a pretty significant effort. So it depends on the complexity of task 1.
Right. Now, okay, now let us further discuss on this. Why one needs a clarification? No, not with which type of data we are downloading. It's not about that. Instead, okay, I'll show you the other scenario. This one. Okay. From 2 to 5, everything is performed by a bot called as attendee. Concentrate on this word. Why I'm calling it as attendee. I'll discuss upon that. Okay. There is something called as attended and unattended bots in the entire RPA workflow. Attended and unattended bots. We'll see what is the difference between those. But for now, if you see, I'm automating 2, 3, 4, and 5 by using a bot called as attendee bot user, whereas downloading the data from ERP is still done by human. Now, why this scenario is because you know that to perform this automation, we'll be using some tools, some external tools. Like we were discussing either from UiPath or Automation Anywhere or any other functionality or any other platform. Now this ERP is having my organizational data, correct? So my entire organizational data is stored on ERP. Now, if I want my bot, which I create, to download the data from ERP, that means I need to provide access to it. Now, a platform, a software program is accessing my ERP system. And that software program or that tool is external. Agree? So it's like I'm giving somebody who is outside from my organization an access to the data of my organization. So it is related to that decision making. Whether as an organization, am I ready to provide access to my ERP system to a tool which is external to my organization? Security, yes. That is true. Security is very potential issue here. So that decision making is required before concluding whether all 1 to 5 should be automated, or it's not that it cannot be automated because it is one of the very easiest step as that of 2 to 5. But the discussion point is security. And if as an organization, if we feel that it can be automated, then a scenario number 2 comes where we talk about unattended bot users. So these all are attended bot users. Therefore, the differentiation in the icons used are also shown. Attended in the sense, the process is going on in the background, but a human is always involved in the not only at the decision making, but at the process flow as well. Whereas in unattended bot case, human is not involved, but yeah, at any given time, the control can be taken back by the human or by the user, human user. Okay. So in attended bot, the process flow is performed by the bot, but the decision making is taken care entirely by human. Whereas in unattended case, the process flow as well as the decision, both are taken care by the bot, but there is a condition here, which says at any given time, the control can be taken back by the human user. So these are the scenarios which are currently going on in the industries with respect to RPA implementations. But even now, the start and the end, okay, the start and the end in any of the case is still performed by the human users. Starting of the automation and at the end, once the automation is done, giving a green flag to that automation is still performed by human users. I hope these scenarios are clear. Do you need any further discussions on this?
I have a question.
Yes.
Sometimes it seems that RPA is like a halfway solution. I don't mean that it's not worth much. It's extremely valuable, but sometimes the process itself is inefficient. Like, why am I downloading into one Excel, then to filter to copy to another Excel? Why don't I just change the process itself and make it more efficient? So sometimes it seems that RPA is just a way to quickly replicate a human process, sometimes inefficient, um, just to help the human. So it's a very human process. Whereas if you were to step back and invest a little bit, maybe you change the whole process and just go straight from 1 all the way to 5. Instead of having steps in the middle. So I wonder how does that how does how is that viewed in relation to all these new things where you can write code automatically and that kind of thing. Is there a competition in a sense in the trends?
Okay. Okay. Now you have touched upon few points. I'll take them one by one. If you're considering this particular case of reading the data in the background, filtering the data, copying the filter data, and pasting it, obviously there are some steps which are not required, as you correctly said, which can be directly performed or removed. Another point you talked about is vibe coding as well. Okay. That is an extension along with automation. If I'm also integrating those sort of prompt engineering techniques, vibe coding techniques, using some low code, no code platforms, then what exactly I'm doing is a task similar to agentic process. Okay, that is where agentic systems comes, agentic AI comes. That I'll discuss later on. Second is RPA in current scenario is a assistive tool, human assistive tool. I would not say it is totally inefficient, but it depends on, as you rightly mentioned in your discussion as well. Okay, as a team, as a user, I should know, I mean, which particular processes are very highly repetitive, right? And which task and processes requires handling of huge amount of data. If suppose my data is small, okay, I'll show you another scenario where I have huge amount of data and I need to create a report of that data within very short time. Then obviously I'll go ahead with selecting automation tools because I already know what rules I'll define, what rules my bot, the robotic bot which I'll create has to follow because I'm short of time. There, the efficiency of RPA is very high. But suppose if I have less amount of data and much more time to create report, and if still I'm using a RPA technology, obviously I'm not using it to the fullest. I'm not utilizing 100% efficiently. Right. So it all depends on the use case, the scenario, and to what process you are applying the RPA for. Okay. I hope that clarifies.
Yeah, it just seems like the whole agentic movement is like RPA 2.0.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
It's much more than 2.0 because I'll show you that as well when we go ahead. We call it as IPA, Intelligent Process Automation, where we integrate AI. And after integrating, we move ahead of AI. That is where agentic starts. It is, you can say RPA 2.0, 3.0, more than that.
thank you.
Yeah. Okay, I hope that is clear. So now those options now changes. So after learning RPA, we know that RPA performs repetitive tasks that human used to do. So they often use this low code, no code interfaces. So therefore no coding knowledge is required. And RPA is suitable for many, almost any domain in any industry, not only for IP, not only for IT. Like in another slot, in the morning slot, I was discussing, there was one participant from media industry. In fact, they were also using some sort of automation process. Okay. This is also not true. RPA requires advanced AI to work, right? Yeah, RPA can reduce human error, which is true. RPA can operate 24/7. That is also true. Okay. Now, these are some terms which are used in RPA, and some familiarity is required for that. Therefore, I try to give definitions of this, starting with attended bots. So these are the bots, these are the robots which are started by the user, after which, after the start, there is no mandatory requirement of interaction between the user and the robot. But yeah, at any given time, the entire control can be taken by the human. So RDA, this is basic automation, remote desktop automation. So they usually use attended robots. Okay. Then comes unattended, which do not require active user interaction. It runs on the background and on central servers instead of user desktop. So attended bots, they run on the user desktop. Unattended bots, they run on central servers. So from there, you can start, stop, schedule, audit, analyze, monitor via a central monitoring system. So RPA uses unattended bots. Okay. So these normally are used as synonyms. You'll see that many research authors, many authors of many books, practitioners, they try to refer unattended bots as RPA. Then there is another term called as business process management, okay, which is a traditional technology. It was there before RPA also, which actually deals with the analysis, design, optimization of my business processes. So before we start automation or before we start integrating RPA into my business process automation or into my workflow, I can use this BPM to standardize the process and then go for automation. So first follow the standards and then implement the automation. I hope you already know about structured, semi-structured, unstructured data. So I'm not going there. But I'll touch upon this operating model, governance, and IPA. So here operating model refers to the choice, whether you're interested in making the tool in-house or you want to buy a tool from external source. Right? So that is what it decides what sort of operating model you have for implementing RPA. So in-house or outsource, right? So that is where the operating model is decided. Okay, till now we were discussing about the security, right? So that is where RPA governance comes. So these are guidelines or rules for RPA for the tool that is implemented. And then IPA, which is smart automation, intelligent process automation, sometimes called as smart automation. It is a classic combination of RPA with machine learning, predictive analytics, natural language processing, etc. Now, have you anytime seen, nowadays it is very famous, very popular, customer care chatbots on WhatsApp? Many basic issues related to customer care executives are being solved over WhatsApp.
Yeah.
So where do you put put those cases? Is it RPA or IPA? Intelligent process or normal robot process automation?
IPA.
Okay. The WhatsApp chatbots. Do you
I
keep it
think
in IPA or RPA?
I mean, they only go to an extent. They don't fully answer it, so I would say RPA.
Yes, exactly. Because if you have observed, there are some predefined questions and you have to select only from those questions. As a user, you can select only from the listed questions. You cannot type your own question. So depending on the serial number, if you select that particular serial number, that's more than enough. If you try to select any other question other than the listed, it will take you back to the same question. Because there is no natural language understanding there. Correct. Now, but there are
Um,
customer, yeah.
Sorry, sir, but sometimes when we are calling the customer care, is it asking whether you want to record or tell your problem statement?
Yeah, I'll
This.
come to that. I'm coming to
Sure.
that.
Sorry, sir.
Yeah, yeah. But in the same chatbots, okay, uh, there are chatbots which takes input from the user and then decides what have to be done. So this is where natural language understanding is there, right? So they don't operate with respect to some predefined Q&A. They take the user input in real time, try to understand what user is telling, and then try to extract keywords from the user question, and then try to match a solution, a predefined solution for those keywords. So that is where natural language understanding is there. So that is a basic concept of IPA, right? But nowadays, most of the WhatsApp chatbots, they are very basic. They fall under RPA category until and unless they are also doing some natural language understanding from user. If user is allowed to type any question. Okay. Yeah. So also you might have seen there are customer care chatbots which initially try to interact with the user based on whatever input the user is giving. But after certain interaction, if still the user is not satisfied, then the chatbot will give you an option of connecting to an agent, connecting to a voice service. You might have observed this, right? So that is where again IPA comes. Because it is able to understand that user is still not satisfied even after few sessions of interaction. Okay, that is where IPA starts. Yeah, hope this is clear. And in fact, as Jhansi was telling, IVR. Okay, user is asked to the basic IVR where user is asked to select between one to select first. It will ask you to select the language, right? Then it will ask you to select for what purpose your call is. Okay, it will give you options. Select one for this, select two for this, select three for this. That again is a basic RPA only. Nothing more than that. But if it is taking your voice input before connecting to a customer care executive, that means it is doing some natural language understanding. So that is where AI is also there. So IPA. Okay. Sam, a good question. Why don't we start IPA at the first itself? Okay. Now, this is my experience as well as industrial scenario also. There are 60 to 70% use situations where simple IVR options will work. So there is no question of converting the user language, spending compute resources on conversion, then using a language model to understand what user is telling, because everything is costly there, right? Whenever do you do a model call for understanding the user language, you are spending some tokens, right? So to optimize those compute resources, we still have RPA plus IPA. In fact, RPA is more when compared to IPA. IPA comes only when certain thresholds are crossed. At each level, there will be some thresholds. If those thresholds are exceeded, only then IPA is initiated. Until then, everything is RPA. And there is no compute resource cost. In fact, it is negligible to run a RPA bot when compared to IPA. That's right, cost, yes. Running cost, not maintenance also, real-time running cost also. Because if I give my user input in the form of voice, okay, first I have to do some voice processing for which I need tokens because I need a language model at the back end. And even if I give input from my keyboard, that also needs to be converted, which again is a model calling. So again, tokens are required. So because of the costs involved. And this cost gets multiplied and number of users gets multiplied, right? So that's the reason. But a good point to brought up at the right time. Done. So okay, mine is asking when I type I want a human agent and I'm forwarded to human to take over the chat. This is IPA. Acha, okay, very good point brought up. Now, this generally doesn't happen because there is no straightforward option given by any customer care chatbot. Because if you are giving the option, most of 90% people will select, I want a human agent. That is human tendency, right? So this option is intentionally not given. But yeah, even if you give this option, it still can be implemented with RPA. Because you give only this option, not any other option, right? So this can be implemented with RPA. Okay. Now, let us see the stages of automation, where we start with, say, basic automation. So this is where that attended bots come into picture. Then comes intermediate automation. This is where the unattended bots come. And then finally, AI-driven automation, that is intelligent, right? So we start with basic automation where we deal with scripts, macros, RDA, remote desktop automation, and workflow automation. And then intermediate automation is one where we talk about RPA, chatbots, doing some analytics. Okay, give me 2 minutes. I'll come to that question of tokens. Okay, give me 2 minutes. I'll complete this, then I'll come to that. Okay. Now here, basic automation is examples are scripts, the macros, the workflow, etc. When unattended bot comes, we talk about intermediate automation where we develop chatbots to understand user language and do some analytics as well. That is generating reports, creating dashboards, etc. Those all fall under intermediate automation. Intelligent automation is AI driven. Okay, that is where IPA, intelligent process automation comes. Okay, I hope the differentiation is clear. Okay, now I'll come to the question of tokens. Okay, I'm not sure what exactly are tokens in Bitcoins. I think you're talking about some blockchain lecture, if I'm not wrong. Right? But tokens in IPA. See, when I say I'm integrating AI, so there are use cases where I need the help of a large language model or even a small language model, right? Because I need to understand user behavior or user input, etc. Okay. So whenever I do a LLM call, whenever I call a large language model at the backend, so those calls will be converted into tokens. Your AI lectures are not yet started, right? The generative AI lectures. If no, then yeah, you'll anyhow come across there what is the meaning of token. But yes, now suppose I'm interacting with ChatGPT, right? I'll give a question. This is a say glass of orange dash. And I'll ask GPT to fill up the dash. What word should be there in the dash there? Okay. So obviously the answer what you get is juice, right? Okay. With a very high probability, juice. Orange color, etc. with very less probability. So now this is a natural language, what user will understand. But the language model, the GPT will not understand this user language. Instead, this will be converted into tokens. That means THI is converted as one token. S and a space may be another token. Likewise, okay, this I, this S, and then a space and then A is another token. And each token will be processed individually. And token to token, first token will be used to predict next token. Second will be used to predict third. Third will be used to predict fourth, like that. Because the main work of any language model is to predict the next word or next token. So internally, these are processed as tokens, not as words. And then these tokens are converted into numbers, which we call it as vectors. These are all you'll learn in generative AI course. How tokens are created, how tokens are converted into vectors, etc. But for now, you understand that token means I'm referring to the language model, provided I'm using AI concepts there. Okay, tokens and credits, they are not same. Credits, if I'm not wrong, you're talking about cost related scenario, if I'm using AI in RPA. Yes. Okay. But yeah, they are related, but they are different. Related in the sense, more the number of tokens, more is the number of credits required, because more is the number of cost involved. Because the cost is calculated in terms of tokens only. Okay. Theoretically, there is a difference, but they are related directly. More number of tokens, more number of credits is required. You might have seen or you might have heard there is a context length for any model. I think for GPT it is 128K, if I'm not wrong. If not, you can go back after the session and check. 128,000 is the length of the context. This 128K refers to input plus output, total number of tokens per interaction, per prompt. So this is the maximum number of tokens per prompt, which includes both input tokens as well as output tokens. Okay. I hope the clarification is okay for you. I hope you are able to understand this. Okay. Now, depending on whether you have seen basic, intermediate, and intelligent automation. Yes, Prince, go ahead.
So looking at the RPA, if I think of some of the processes where which are again.
Your voice is very low.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Looking at the RPA, I know this actually automates the repetitive processes, which are having a very set and defined rule.
Right.
And let's suppose if I take a small example, because I've been into some of these situations where I wrote the code uh, to automate certain things. Specifically, let's suppose I need to process certain amount of data with the specific number of rules that were there by writing some macros in the VBA, right? By utilizing the VBA. And if I so so what different thing that RPA is bringing. So if I'm having a a team of specialized VBA writers who are very good into writing the VBA, and they can process all these Excel files and very easily, right? So in
Yes.
that case, do you think the existence of RPA is better and bringing more efficiency than the people who are there, and they can write the dynamic codes and they can manage the applications or dynamic requirements later in the in the process, when in case if we want to change the process, we can anyways do that. So
Yeah, very, very good question brought up. In fact, I'll try to show you in the practical demonstration session the limitation of VBA or macros, or for that matter, RDA, the remote desktop automation. This is where RPA wins. So if the process is complex, if the complexity increases and the time given to you to come to a solution is very limited, in that case, RPA is the best choice. But if you're able to manage your application with simple VBA script with simple macros, then no need of using RPA, because indirectly what you're doing is automation
yeah,
without
exactly.
the use of software code with simple macros.
Yeah.
But now suppose I'll show you I'll give you one scenario. This will anyhow implement in our next week practical session. Imagine I gave you a scenario to create a macro or a VBA script to send email to 100 people.
Yeah.
Okay. Each with one email ID, one subject line, and one email body.
I think yes, it is achievable, can be done, but again, it's a bit complex, right? Here, because every individual having a different
Yes.
different text altogether,
Yes.
having,
Yes.
so in that case, I need to maintain a mapping and then read the mapping and
This
then
is
go.
where this is where RPA wins.
Yeah,
Now
I
I'll
think.
slightly change the scenario. Now suppose I have to send season greetings to 100 people. Then body line will be same, subject line will be same, everything will be same, right?
Yeah.
A simple VBA script will do.
Yeah.
A simple macro will do. So it all depends on the complexity, the time, and the resources which are available. If complexity is more, resources are limited, time also is short, then RPA is the best possible scenario.
Solution. Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Right. So I think when we try to answer these bullet points, which automation is suitable for these categories, I think the picture will be more clear. Starting with, say, renaming files. What do you think? Which type of automation is suitable here? Similarly, chatbot, which is answering FAQs, then data entry, renaming invoices, chatbot that is learning intent. So try to answer these one by one. Which type of automation is suitable for what criteria? Renaming files, is it simple macros, or is it RDA? You can do it with RDA, or RPA is required. Okay, Sam says renaming is pure RPA. Okay. HR is AI. Okay. Why not RPA there? I mean, combination of AI and automation I was referring to. Data entry, reconciliation are some basic processes. Likewise, renaming invoices, archiving invoices is also a basic process. Okay, HR is right. Natural language understanding, that is true. I like it, right? Okay, let me give you the answer. Now, renaming files is rule-based, so simple RDA can do. Chatbot answering, as rightly said, natural language understanding, so it needs interpretation, therefore AI. Data entry is structured, because it handles structured data, so it is a good use case of RPA. But yeah, again, if the data is not so complex, not so huge volume, simple RDA will also do. Likewise, renaming, archiving invoices is basic automation. Chatbots with learning intent is again AI related. Hotkey triggered email extraction is very basic, so you can do it with RDA, sorry. Now, data entry from a web form is a classic use case for RPA. OCR, optical character recognition, needs image processing. Therefore, deep learning concept comes. So, which is RPA here. Reconciling CSVs is RPA. All right. So next, okay, the difference between RPA, RDA, and their examples. This we have already seen, but just to make sure again, to complete the chain. No, basic means RDA, remote desktop automation, where simple macros, simple workflows will use. We are not even going to RPA. Yes, RDA, that's right, remote desktop automation. Yeah, so because they directly run on a user desktop, and we use attended bot users in RDA, which is a basic automation. RPA, which is intermediate, as we said, they run on central server in the background. They don't need active user interaction, so taken care by unattended bot user. And if we need to use machine learning, predictive analytics, natural language processing, and here we are talking about data generation also. Not only natural language processing, but natural language generation, right? So how do you generate a data? Again, you need a large language model there or a small language model, whatever language model, but a language model is required to generate natural language. So again, we take tokens are involved here. This is where it will be interesting. You remember we have told you that we'll discuss upon agentic AI. We discuss upon how RPA is related to IPA, how IPA can be expanded, and we can achieve autonomous multi-agent system also. So this is that particular slide. So if everything is clear now, we can discuss this here. Whatever we have spoken till now, any further questions in that? Okay, right. Now, first, let us start with the complexity of the process to be automated. Then the requirement of cognitive skills. Do I need cognitive skills? If yes, what is the level of skills required? And how much support I have for making a decision? Decision in normal cases, decision in cases of exception handling, decision in cases of quality control, decision in cases of smart automation. Right? So these three verticals will choose and then decide whether we go for RPA, IPA, augmented intelligent process automation, or do we need to go for autonomous agents? Let us start with structured data and rule-based decision. Data is structured, although size might be very huge, but entire corpus, entire data is in the structured form. And I need to run some rule-based predefined macros or predefined criteria on that structured data. Then RPA is the best possible use case. Okay. Now, from rule-based, I slowly move towards cognitive thinking. That is, the tool that I'm implementing should be context aware and should be able to take decision based on fuzzy logic. And then I'll move away from structured to unstructured, started handling unstructured data. Then this is where the space of IPA comes, AI plus RPA. Okay, fuzzy is if you have concept of neural networks, right? The word fuzzy is taken from there. Neural networks, that is a basic building block of a language model. And to understand neural networks, there is a logic called as fuzzy based decision logic. So this word comes from there. Okay. Now I have started handling unstructured data, but still I have combination of both structured and unstructured, right? And I'm moving from context awareness then towards augmenting knowledge. Now, what is the meaning of this knowledge augmentation? Any guess? Any wild guess? Knowledge augmentation.
Layered. So
Okay.
the decisions made at one level impact the decisions made at another level. Or combinations of decisions made at a lower level will feed into knowledge which is used to make decisions at another level. So it's compound decision making.
The decision. There are some learnings from those lower level decision made, which can be augmented before we make decision at higher levels, right?
Yes.
That is what you're telling, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, knowledge build upon another knowledge. Okay. Need memory and learning is there. Yes, Prince, your hand is raised.
So, what I think about knowledge augmentation is something I can think of that. Let's suppose if I'm having a ML model, right?
Mhm.
What it has learned during the training, and in production environment, it has something which it hasn't seen during the training. In that case, it is learning from the production environment. That is called knowledge augmentation.
Okay, I'll come to that point also. Very rightly brought up. Train and test data, what you're talking about basically, right?
Yes.
So the model is, we have seen, we have made the model to see the trained data again and again. And suddenly we gave a new data, which the model has not yet seen. Okay. That is somewhat close to knowledge augmentation. But let me tell you one thing here. Now, suppose if I'm using a language model at my backend. Okay. Now you all might use ChatGPT, right, on a regular basis. Okay. Have you anytime seen ChatGPT learning from its mistakes?
Yes.
You might have observed, right, in social media also. You'll see that sometimes ChatGPT says that 9.11 is greater than 9.9. You might have seen these images on social media, especially on LinkedIn. Okay. This was very viral. Somebody asked which is greater, 9.9 is greater or 9.11 is greater. And GPT said that 9.11 is greater. But later on, it rectified it. Okay. And there was a classic use case with me, actually. Okay. How many of you have observed when you interact with GPT and suppose your session length increases, it gets slower, right? The prompt you type is slow and the response that is generated is further very slow. It tries to hang in the middle sometimes, especially when session length increases. Okay. So what I did is I went to the chatbot on GPT, on ChatGPT website. There is a customer care chatbot. I started interacting, saying that this is what is the problem I faced. So it was able to handle my interaction very effectively. Okay. But suddenly I asked it, what is 2 plus 2? What do you think the answer should be from a chatbot? Should it give an answer or it should not give an answer to this? It's a chatbot.
Good question. So if you mean it's a support chatbot?
Hmm. Yes, it was a support chatbot to which I asked this question and it gave me an answer that it is 4. Logically, it should not. And this is very recent conversation I'm talking about after the release of ChatGPT 5.1. Okay. And then I asked, what is the capital of Paris? What is the capital of France? It gave me an answer. I asked, what is my current city temperature? It started giving me an answer. Okay. But this I observed after 2 or 3 days. Again, I asked the same question, what is 2 plus 2? It gave me a response saying, I am here to answer only your queries. I am a support chatbot. If you want this answer, go to general chat. So it is learning, it is augmenting its knowledge. It is doing a self-learning, right? So user need not give a feedback. I did not give a feedback that you are a chatbot, you should not answer this. You are a support chatbot, so handle only support queries. I never told it. It eventually learned it from its own mistakes. So that is what is knowledge augmentation, enhancing your own knowledge or adding to already existing knowledge. That is where this autonomous agents comes. And if you have heard about a system called as multi-agent system or agentic AI framework. Okay. There are differences obviously between both agentic AI and multi-agent. Yeah, but this is where that knowledge augmentation, handling of unstructured data, taking complex decisions and handling exceptions effectively, maintaining the quality, everything comes. So this is the top, this is the top of the ladder. Yes, please go ahead.
I'm
Yes,
a
I can.
little surprised. I thought that multi-agent systems were designed to handle very complex type decisions. So, for example, balance, in robots, all right, or if I am trying to think of an example, or it's like a method of solving problems that are so complex that it'll be too difficult to write a straight decision tree. Do this, then do that, then do the other. But if you have different agents handling different clusters of decisions and the hierarchy and the higher agents above those that are determining which agents need to be deployed, you know, that type of framework orchestration is what a multi-agents thing. But you're saying that in addition to that, you have the agents actually learning which just seems like another level in my mind.
No, it is in fact both. What you said is absolutely right. Now it depends again on the scenario. Now, if you have a LLM at the back end of all those multi-agents, then you also have knowledge augmentation there. But if only autonomous agents are working on some predefined rules given, and there is an orchestrator to decide which agent to select at what time, then it is simple handling of complex decision making. There is no knowledge augmentation there because you are not training to the new data. But along with that multi-agent, if you have a LLM behind, okay, then it is also learning. The LLM is learning, and then it is augmenting the knowledge of agents. Okay, agents will not do it automatically until a language model is there. So to augment the knowledge, either you have to retrain the agent or attach that agent to a language model. Only then knowledge augmentation is possible. So both the scenarios are there. Okay.
So once you have to define guardrails in terms of the
Oh,
language. For example, in your example with the 2+2.
yes. Yes. Guardrails are obviously everywhere required, Guardrails along with human in the loop. Okay. And nowadays, there is a concept which is picking up uh, pace is contestability, especially in ethical and responsible AI scenarios. Okay. So contestability, you might be knowing as a user, I should have the right to challenge the decision given by AI or the AI system. Okay. So users should have this, right? So if I challenge the decision and if I reject it, then the agent or the automation should go back, correct its working style and come back with a new decision. Andy, I'm not sure. I did not hear about OpenClaw, but if it is somewhat related to this, then yes. What I'm talking about is a general rule or right given to a human whenever AI is making a decision. Because when I say autonomous agents, I'm giving full autonomy to agents, right? Only then multi-agent system is possible. But yeah, at every level, at every crucial levels, the human should have the contestability right. AI has made a decision. It will ask a feedback from human about the decision. If human rejects, it should go back, corrects its working style, correct the training, and give a new decision, and then only proceed further. Okay, so these are all guardrails. Along with all this, they are concepts of responsible AI.
Um, I'm, I'm also aware of people using AI to challenge AI. So you try to keep the systems independent. You have one AI make, like, for example, this was a significant part of the NVIDIA's car. You know, their security model for their safety models for their car. So you have
Yes.
one. They try and keep two parallel systems that is always cross checking and double checking each other. And to
Yes.
the extent that they agree, then they make the decision. They make the decision. But yeah, sort of an antagonistic design that sort of helps reduce errors.
Yes, that is true. AI is used to challenge AI, but yeah, uh, now you'll see. I mean, the world where it is moving is HIL, human in the loop, is gaining very popular place. Very mandatory step is also going on nowadays, especially with respect to the acts which different countries are coming up with whenever automation scenarios are coming up. Okay, nice. Any other question on this? Okay, if no further question, then I think we can take our break, the first and only break, about 15 minutes. Yeah, if it is good to everyone, then we'll meet after 15 minutes from now. If no further questions, yeah, thank you. So, hi everyone, I'm back here. If you can hear me.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, hi everyone. Okay, let's continue our discussion. Okay, this we have already seen, right? But yeah, expected justifications. If the task is for renaming, archiving monthly invoices, because it is simple, rule-based, repetitive file operation with no, because there is no human decision making. Forget about AI. AI is very far for this. There is no human decision making in that sense, real-time decision making involved. Therefore, basic automation is suitable here. But whenever we use natural language understanding, not only to detect the intent, but also to respond. So here we are talking about natural language generation as well. So we are going beyond rule-based automation. Hotkey, obviously no AI, but yeah, attended bots are there which are triggered by the user based on some predefined rules. Then OCR is where image processing, handwritten recognition is there, which is capability of AI, right? So now this RPA tool has evolved over past 15 years. So it all started with this screen scraping, capturing the data from the screen. Okay. Now we call it as web crawling. We use the today also in the form of web crawling. Then configuration and scripting was another technology which evolved after screen scraping. Then business process automation came, where we started automating workflows. Then those workflows were converted into packaged APIs. And at the backend, some attended bots were running. Then came the unattended bots, where we now are using enterprise grade RPA automation. So this is a tool which has been in evolvement stage from past 15 years. So early references was obviously screen scraping and business process automation. So screen scraping is the practice of reading and copying the text from a live computer screen. Whereas BPA, business process automation or workflow tools, can help in batch processing. They capture the data such as invoice details, contact information, and after capturing, based on the logic, either you store it or you can translate also. Okay, now this is where I need discussion and your inputs as well. I created a sample workflow architecture for RPA. I say it as sample because this is not standardized. I created it from my own understanding. Okay, so let us see that steps one by one. What all blocks will be there in a classic RPA use case. And then let us put forward our points, because I tried to make this as a modular architecture. Now, when I say modular, it depends on the type of situation and the type of use case, which particular block I'll be using, which particular block I may not need. So from that first block is about gather and collate the data, the use case, the problem statement, whatever information you want to gather and collect, right, before starting the implementation. After which we do data entry, okay, and if required, you can create an interface where the users can give their data in real time or maybe in the backend, and then archive, store that data. Okay. Next, pre-processing. Now, most of you obviously might start thinking that why this step is required here. As I said, modular architecture, so it depends on the use case, whether you want to pre-process the user input or you want to directly take it as it is. When I say pre-processing, there are a lot many steps involved in pre-processing, which I think you already are aware of. So there are steps which we take in machine learning, right? All those steps can come here, or depending on your requirement, you can select what steps you need for pre-processing. Okay, now because you have done pre-processing, that means you have done some change to the entire data corpus, right? Therefore, you need to test and validate the newly created data. So because this data is the one which machine will learn upon, or the model will learn, right? So this is the data on which automation will be applied. Therefore, before applying that automation, you have to test and validate it. Next, after this, you start thinking about how much resources I need, depending on what volume of data I have, how much time I have to come up with the solution. Based on that, I decide how many tasks will be there, how many subtasks will be there. Then I start the task allocation. And for each task, I try to manage resources. Okay, now again, I'm doing test and validate. Can anybody tell me what is the difference between test and validate here, test and validate after task allocation?
One is one is the quality of the pre-processed data itself, and the
Yes.
other one is the result of the task done.
Okay. Right. Now, I don't know whether you have heard a concept called as fail fast. Have you anytime, anybody?
Yes.
Yes, fail
Terms of
fast.
lean.
Because this fail fast scenario will help me in understanding what all steps I don't need. Now, suppose I collected 100 records, 100 invoices I collected. Okay. I did some data entry, I did some pre-processing, validated, then task allotment. Okay. Now, out of those 100, I'll take only say 10 or 20 records and run a very small sample automation, right? And if I'm getting the results that I expected, then I validate that task allocation and resources based on those 20. And then I prepare a requirement sheet so that all 100 can be applied, right? So it's like considering the fail fast scenario, just to make sure that, it's not that you take all 100 and apply it all at once. First, test it on a very small corpus, 10 to 20% of original. If it is working on that, then run that on entire 100, right? So that is what we are trying to do here. Yeah, prevents garbage in, garbage out. That's right. Correct. In fact, this garbage in, garbage out is also a step for pre-processing because you remove all unnecessary requirements in data. So the output of test and validate data block is a cleaned data without any garbage.
Doctor, is it also to reduce the load on the system? Is it something like that?
Not really. In fact, we are doing a load testing here, stress testing on the load. Now, suppose I say that I need 10 GPUs. Now, I estimated that I need 10 GPUs for 100 records. Imagine. So what will I do? I'll use one GPU, pass 10 records and see the performance. Whether one GPU is able to handle 10 records efficiently or not. So load test, stress testing is also a part of this. That's right.
Thank you.
Yeah. So once I do this, I know that everything is working fine. The sample is working fine. Then if required, I'll start with data migration. Again, as I said, this is a modular architecture. So you may think that data migration may not be required for your use case. Then okay, I mean, you can eliminate this block. Right? So this is not a block which is regularly used in all the applications or all the automations. But yeah, one of the key steps for migrating the data, because this is very challenging nowadays, especially after the invention of new tools. Migrating from old to new is becoming very challenging. And then I start with the automation activity and analyze the performance on the entire corpus, on the entire data set. And whatever I get, the performance results. Okay, did I deploy my bot here? Did I deploy my automation till now anywhere?
No.
Deployment, testing, nothing, right? Not yet. So what I'm doing here is I'm doing a dry run. When I say automation activity and performance analysis, I'm doing a dry run. Okay. And when I do that, whatever results I get from that, I communicate to the relevant stakeholders to take their feedback. Okay, communicate automated notification to stakeholders, right? After which I start the deployment, perform the tests, and carry out the maintenance if required. If everything is good here, till here, if stakeholders give a thumbs up, if all the results are communicated to the required people, after which I go for deployment and then carry out updates if any, right? So this is what is the end-to-end sample architecture. I think I covered almost all the points which are required for carrying out automation. So if you think, did I miss any, you can put your thoughts. Yeah. Or do you think this is so modular that any industry, any organization, any vertical can adopt? Yeah, looks good.
Yeah, I think it assumes that the scope is very, very well known upfront.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the scope, the outcome, the goal, that has to be very, very well noted to flow through this, because sometimes after the gather and collate phase, when you get to actual recording, your priority is exactly what you want to achieve. When you see what data you can actually collect, I'm guessing it sort of change the scope in terms of how much you think you can actually achieve. Maybe you thought it was 90%, but it turns out it's probably better to aim for 50. So that may change. I don't know if that's a factor.
Okay, right. Now I'm looking at the chat box. Okay, I have two questions. Trigger events, I'm not sure what you're talking about, if you can elaborate. But yeah, conflict handling, I think it will be done at the stakeholder communication block. If there is a conflict, if anybody thinks that there is a conflict, then it will be done at the communication block. Date, okay, that is not included. You mean schedule, right? When to release, when to sue, accept. That is not integrated in this. Yes, we can do that. Yeah. Yeah, schedule, we can do that. Exactly. That is not a part of this. But I think you can have a subblock in this, or maybe a point where in the deploy, if required, schedule, and then after that you do test and maintenance. Audit governance, I want to keep it under updates. Yeah, audit governance, I want to keep it under update, right?
That's a question.
Yeah.
Now, when we thinking about RPA, I think are we assuming that the processes are generally small, so that or is there a need for elaborate governance? Who are the different stakeholders that need to monitor the health of it and all of that? Is it is there any assumptions on the size of the processes that we're talking about RPA?
The RPA we implement only when process is complex, the size is heavy on a higher side. Only then we go for RPA. If it is small with less compute requirement, then you do it on a simple desktop. We call it as remote desktop automation, right? Okay. We turn towards our RPA only when we are thinking that a simple RDA will not suffice. Now, when that is done, it depends on the use case and organization, whether the application of RPA is internal only to limited to one particular vertical, say suppose HR or finance accounting or any other department, then obviously governance will also be within the particular department only, auditing and governance. But if it is across cross-functional, cross-application related, then audit will be a central body, a central governance body should be there. We'll see the types of RPS also, but yeah, I'm just giving you a overall picture. I hope that is that answers your question.
Sir, just a quick question on what kind of, there is within organizations, there is the decision to build versus buy some of these RPS systems, right? Can you
Yes.
give some examples of like if you have to buy an RPS system, is there any consideration of data security and, like because the data is kind of, is there
There
any
is
consideration of that?
exactly when you go for a SaaS-based service or a complete tool-based purchase service, okay, there is a difference. When you purchase the tool as a bare metal, tool has nothing. Tool has not seen your organization data till now. You are purchasing it as a bare metal service. Then obviously there is no consideration of security issues. You need not worry about data security. But if you are taking a SaaS-based service, okay, then obviously you have to expose your data to the particular team who is developing that service for you. So obviously that security issues you have to take care of. Do some masking on some PII information, especially say in banking cases, PII plays a major role. So what they do, suppose if I want to calculate credit score, what will I do? I'll not give name of the employee or name of the person I'll not give credit card information of a person. Instead, I'll mask them. Like yesterday, you might have, or maybe in your previous lectures, you were study about blockchain.
Yes, sir.
The PII information will be converted into some random numbers using blockchain and then given. And when your team, when the other team has built up software for you, once they give that software back, then you match that masked numbers with the data what you have, and then you recreate it.
Yeah, it was called hash, right? Hash code.
Yes, exactly. Hashing. That's right. That's what
Okay.
normally is a practice being followed.
Okay. Got it. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Good. Any other question? Let me move forward then. So this is exemplary architecture where you have product environment. This is where you are building the product, after which you'll get the test environment, right? Like that, you move to the development environment, right? Produce, test, and deploy and do the scenario. Okay, what is next to RPA? We have seen predecessors of RPA. Successor is obviously AI, because AI can replicate human intelligence, especially during decision making. Now, there are two scenarios here. One is replicating the process of making decision and taking the decision itself directly. Which one do you think is more important? The process of taking a decision to be replicated, or directly taking the decision itself? Which one do you think your model should understand first? Bearing the consequences, okay. For AI, right? For the use of AI, you're telling. Yes, that's right. Yeah. So, see, if you know the process of how to make a decision, or if my model knows a process of how to make a decision, then it's like I'm creating a rule-based dictionary, a rule book, because that process will have that rule book. In that case, I can modularize that rule book, right? Instead of showing it as a single API package or so. Obviously, it is very difficult to rely, especially in situations where the access to the in organizational data is there, access to the customer database is there. In all those cases, it is difficult to rely on the decision made by AI. But yes, in today's world where you're trying to handle as many number of customers as possible, huge data size with very short turnaround time, there is no other way other than AI to go. But yes, for that, obviously you need to think about all the consequences, as be ready for that. Have a backup solution for that. Have a fallback options for each and every scenario. Right? That is where contestability I was talking about. So for contestability, the model should have a fallback option. If the user rejects the output given by AI, it should fall back. And that fallback scenario will also be predefined. Okay. So RPA perform the task based on the code, whereas AI can understand and analyze the code. That is what is the power of artificial intelligence. Okay. Now, let us see the differences here. RPA versus IPA or AI. Consider this scenario, converting speech to text, just like subtitles what we have. right? There is already a dictionary given. So what this speech to text will do, it will take a human voice, tries to find the nearest word to what is being spoken. And 99 out of 100 times, it will give you that word only. But there are few pronunciation scenarios or different ways of pronunciation by different people. The words may be mixed here or there. But yeah, if you are transcribing live, only then this problem comes. But if suppose movie subtitles are given, then this problem will not be there because it will be tested, tried and tested multiple times. But yeah, if you are looking at a live video along with transcripts, then there will be a problem. You might have seen this problem in the transcript generated in meetings, right? Either it is Zoom or Teams or Google Meet. Have you any time observed the transcription errors? Because that happens live. Lot, right? Yes. But that is a classic case of RPA. Okay. If AI was there, I think that error would not be there. But yeah, it is a classic case of RPA. But now suppose if a use case is there where I need to do a scene recognition. I'll give an image. I'll ask my tool to recognize what are the objects. Like it is able to recognize that this is human, this is aeroplane, tree, etc. And with a very high efficiency, with very high accuracy, it is able to recognize. Right. So this is a classic case of RPA plus AI. So what is the journey? Where we yesterday, where are we today? Where are we moving forward? So business process automation, right? Like BPO services, business process management tools. So those are classic cases of BPA there. Today we are at RPA, where we talk about routine tasks which follows instructions. And okay, although it has come already, we are currently here, cognitive solutions. We talk about machine learning, deep learning techniques. And the next is obviously IPA, where we have cognitive framework, an entire framework for decision making. Like okay, we were discussing this, right? RPA 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, etc. Assisted robot, that is attended robots, unattended robots, autonomous robots with capability of AI, autonomous robot with thinking capability. That is where RPA 4.0 is there. Okay. I'll give you two scenarios here. Tell me the clear-cut differences between both, the first and the second. There are few common blocks. The flow also looks similar. So which one is autonomous? Which one is cognitive? Okay. One is autonomous, two is cognitive. That's right. Because here you're seeing that there is already something called as train the model. Okay. Now to this, we are giving two inputs. One coming from here, another from here. And both are data. Is there a difference between both? What is data here and what is data here?
So the
There is a
second one is
difference between these two.
feedback.
The data that we have here, that may be not not a useful to us, because that may have some ambiguity into it. But so in that case, we would need a preparation for it. So removing the anomalies out of it and prepare it to make sure that our model can understand that what exactly it is. If I'm having ambiguity, the result may not the expected results may not be as expected as we want to have.
Okay, that I think we are doing it here, right? And analyzing the errors.
But that is after evaluation. But before evaluation, we need to prepare the data, right?
That we are doing here. We are preparing the data for training the model.
Hmm.
Okay. And this is something, okay, now I have a data ready and I'll make my model to see that data so that it will understand the patterns in those data. How does a machine learning model works? It basically understands the patterns in the data. From that, it will understand the entire meaningful information from that data. Okay. Now this data is something totally new. The model has not seen yet, but it is somewhat closely related to this data only. So it's like test data. This is a train data. And then I can call this as a test data. But why feedback is there? Okay, now I gave my test data to my model. Model gave some results. I evaluated it. Okay, deployed it, right? I took a feedback. That feedback, it's is given to not to the whole corpus, but only to the test data. So my test data is getting updated, not my original data. But now here, again, you can make a decision based on your use case, whether this feedback should go here so that my model will understand again the new pattern. If the feedback is so substantial that you have to change the data, then this point should come here. The feedback should come here because the data is changing. So model should learn new data and then test it. Right? Whereas the first one is a classic case of a pure
Sir,
automation.
can you
Yeah.
explain it one more time? Why my feedback data go back again into preparation phase? Because preparation, what I think, is like making my data in a shape which is good enough where my model can be trained. So why feedback should go into it?
Okay. If your feedback is so substantial, okay, if there are a lot many improvements required, right?
Mhm.
Say suppose there are 10 test points you set up,
Hmm.
10 test cases you made, and your model failed in 5 of them.
Okay.
It was able to pass 3, and for 2 there were no answer. So my pass percentage is less than 50, right? That means if this model is failing on those 5 test cases, I need to analyze what are the failure causes. And if those causes tell me that I need to change my data, or I need to change the process I use for preparing the data.
Hmm.
That
Exactly.
means
So
that means it is a new data that model has not yet seen.
okay.
So for that, I need to again retrain the model because there is
Oh,
a change, there is a substantial change in my input data.
okay. Okay.
For that, I need to redo it.
Yes. Yes. Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Where's the
basically, you're
human
talking about
in
the
this loop?
accuracy is going down with the test data, which is not exactly what we were expecting. So it means we need to rephrase our data and make sure that it should be common inside the benchmark or the threshold we would like to have it.
Yeah, yeah. Not only accuracy, but many other metrics. Other
Yes,
metrics.
exactly, exactly, exactly. Got
That's
it, sir. Thank you.
Where is the human in this loop?
okay. Very nice. Thank you for bringing that. At present, there is no human involvement. I have not yet shown here, but yeah, human involvement will be if I'm talking about the second use case, will be somewhere here. You can have somewhere here, HIL. Here, there is no requirement of human because everything is simple automation. But yeah, here you can have human for making approval decisions. Also, you can have human being, HIL. But at present, it is not there. Yes. Okay, let me go through the chat box once. One is raw, another is feedback. Jeff, I did not understand. Wouldn't the substantial feedback position for analysis? I didn't get this. If you can elaborate, please. Also, if you can address Sam, are you talking that Sam questions I should address? Is there a question from Sam? I think I've addressed that if it was. But if not, just let me know again. I'll try to address. Yeah, Sam is correct. The top one is autonomous one, second one is cognitive, obviously. I think that is what you are referring to, right? Okay, got it. Thank you.
Question.
Yes.
This may seem silly, but
Uh-huh.
if I have data coming in to train the model,
Mm-hmm.
I have some preset rules to check the data. This is after the first when you say training the modules, what's coming out of that step would be process data. So it's like testing. So it's like a pre-deployment in a sense. I'm just I guess let me see if I can make my question succinct. What's the difference with when the data comes back from the feedback and comes back in? If it's already broken, if I keep training on broken data,
Yes.
how's it going to know what to correct? I mean, I'm trying to think about it as a human. You know, how would I, if I don't know what the correct answer looks like, or do I? You know, where is the?
That is what I'm doing here in evaluation. Right? In evaluation, I have set up my rules, thresholds already predefined. If it is within the threshold, it is approved. If it is crossing the threshold, it is rejected. Okay. And as you said,
Is there another evaluate using those same rules in the arrow coming back to the data, or maybe from the data going up?
you mean to say another evaluation here? Somewhere here.
Here or you know, after the data, because I'm assuming that the data, yes, those two. Where
Yes.
is it the same rules that we applying the data, we evaluating the data flow?
No, let us keep it here itself. Okay, all the rules, because a single rule book at a single point, because there is a centralized control available, right? For if my rules are all at a single place, at a single point of contact. But yeah, if you do that, if I keep some rules here, if I keep some rules here, that is a decentralized approach, which is another type of RPA that I'll show you in the next slides. But even that is also there. That is also possible. But for this scenario, all the rules, let us keep it in the evaluate process only. Yeah.
So you're saying, let me just ask the last question, I'm over.
Yeah.
So you're saying if the data comes back and it's clean, it's pretty much what you want. Then when it gets back to the training module, essentially I'd just be reinforcing, so there's no harm.
There's no harm.
Okay,
Yes.
there's no harm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's right.
Sorry, just one question. In terms of like visualizing this, can you explain with one example, like, what goes into these different steps? If there's a kind of like a example problem statement that you start with and then go through like these steps. I just want to be
Take a
clear.
invoice, take a invoice processing where my OCR is required. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
I take my data analysis, I do my preparation, I train my model. Then my threshold is, suppose if invoice is greater than 10 lakhs, okay,
Okay.
approve it. Sorry, if it is less than 10 lakhs, approve it. If it is greater than 10 lakhs, reject it. Simple. Okay. Now the process of writing 10 lakhs is different for many, right? Somebody write like this. Okay.
Mm.
Somebody writes like this. Agree? Okay. Now, if
Great.
my model has accepted this and rejected this, then obviously there is a analysis of errors required,
Yes.
right? So there I can give a feedback to the model that this is also a acceptable declaration. So from the next time when my model sees this new data, it also recognizes that this is a valid entry.
Got it.
Just a very crude example I took, just out of instant thought.
Got it. Yeah, that's helpful.
Okay.
It well, you may call it crude, but it's exactly my problem.
Okay.
It's it's exactly my problem, because if
Sure.
if it rejects the wrong one, then that's the analysis errors box, right? Because something that's valid will end
Yes.
up getting rejected. It comes back to the training models, and to me, at that point, how's it going to know the difference? Because it's already flagged it as false. Comes back
Yes.
around. There's nothing in there
Got
to
it.
say this is false. So
Okay. So I'll finish your loop now. Okay. Analysis errors. Maybe we can give it to feedback. Feedback will give it to a new data and then retrain the model.
okay,
Right. I
and
think
that's and that's a human in the loop there. This sort of
yes. Yes. Yes.
okay,
Yes. Agree.
okay,
Agree to your point.
okay.
Yeah.
I can rest now.
Okay. Fine. All right. So this is a life cycle, RPA life cycle. Most of it we have already seen. If create rules is equal to rule based, it is cognitive. Since data driven training ML, then it is autonomous. It's actually the reverse. If you have a simple rule based where predefined rules are there, it is RPA. But if it is cognitive language understanding, then a feedback is required, then analysis are required. If feedback requires updating of data and retraining of model, then it is that cognitive skill. Okay. Sam, I'm addressing your question. Okay. Yes, feedback from errors, right. Agree. So this is what we have already seen. But yeah, one new step is this. End of life or retirement of the solution. If no longer required, how is the proper retirement handled? Or discarding, how it is properly done. That is also a very important scenario. Okay, these are some of the icons you'll come across when you start dealing with RPA. Robot icon, desktop icons, cognitive icons, etc. This is another important point. So what do I do? Components of RPA. See, if you see the terms, I have orchestra, RPA orchestrator, API services, RPA Studio, So this is where I create my automation. A studio or a tool on my desktop or a workflow design. This is where I create my automation. I automate the activity, I deploy it. Okay. Now, in what all cases I may need an orchestrator? Yeah. When say I have multiple bots taking care of multiple automation activities, right? Now, because I have an orchestrator, I have the option of adding a third party applications also as an API. Now my orchestrator will be able to give services to outside my organization as well, using the bots, using the automation I created in my organization. Got it? So that is the role of orchestrator and the possibility scenarios if I have this sort of architecture or this sort of workflow design. Agree? Okay. A few differences between humans and robots. There are few common points in terms of ID, tool, training, authorization, but differences are also there. So this is the types of RPS, right? Centralized, where there is a center of excellence kind of thing, which manages everything, governance, strategy, architecture, RPA operations, orchestration, etc. is managed by this central service. Then I have decentralized one, where RPA delivery team is there, which is independently managing the entire program. Okay. So we have architecture of the robotic operations, etc. And then I have a hybrid model, hub and spoke, I call it. Or I also have a centralized system, which is only looking at governance and the overall architecture. Then I have a separate team, which is monitoring the operations and delivery. And in today's time, this is what is adopted by most of the industries. And which one is suitable for what? Central, hybrid, okay, or decentralized? Okay, sorry, that heading I missed, but it is decentralized, the last one. So if you want very high degree of standardization, go for central. And if you want the single control over the entire framework, then also central is suggested. But because you have a central control, very high degree of standardization, freedom is not there. Okay, central slide you want to see. Yeah, this one. You have any question, Quen?
No, thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Great. So depends on the suppose involvement I want from different departments. Then obviously decentralized is preferred. So if you see again, the sweet spot is towards this hybrid. Okay, with very high proficiency, with very high control also, right? The governance and security also is handled correctly. Can anybody tell me what is this? Looks like a IVR, right? Over the call. Select one for the language, two for this, three for this, then depending on what you want, which service you are interested in. Correct? So this is the classic case of a IVR. Now this is the different tools which are available for obviously intelligent IPA. Power Apps, you might have already heard about it. If time permits, I'll show you a demonstration in Power Apps also. Okay, but yeah, Power BI is also there. Azure Data Services are there for implementing this RPA workforce. Then the potential of RPA, depending on different industries, starting from banking, financial services, to insurance, healthcare, manufacturing, telecom, energy. In that different verticals, finance and accounts, procurement, HR, contact center. Okay. And the potential application from low to high for that industry and for that department. So suppose for banking and financial, finance and accounts is by far the most highly potential candidate for RPA. And the use cases are card activation, fraud claim discovery. Likewise, if you see insurance, claim processing, and new business preparation. Right? Likewise, healthcare means very subjective area, but yeah, reports automation and system reconciliation. Manufacturing means bill of material generation. You can automate the entire activity. Right? Like that, I have different studies which I took from different use cases, different surveys. Okay. Now this is the again where RPA is fitting with respect to frequency and complexity, with respect to value and duration. So these are again the sweet spot exactly in the middle. Okay. Now different professionals which are there in the industry. RPA business analyst, RPA developer, RPA architect, RPA support. And these are the tasks that they do for which this is the knowledge required. Okay. This is just for your understanding. Nothing much to jump or deep dive into this. Now, these are the different surveys which I took from McKinsey. So it will tell you the probability scenarios. So if you see the sweet spot, which is this, it says about 60% of occupations from different example occupations which are taken here. Okay, these are different example occupations taken. From these occupations, from these, there are 60% which has at least 30% probability of automation. Right? So this is the percentage of automation. More than 30% is possible in 60% of these activities. And less than 5% of occupants consist of activities that are 100% automatable. So the percentage of 100% is very less than 5. Okay, but 60% of this has activities that are at least 30% automatable. Likewise,
So
another stuff.
don't you think it's all depends on domain to domain? Because
No, that's what this survey says. Irrespective of domain, suppose if you take example occupations here,
mhm,
there are different sectors, different verticals.
mhm.
But in each of these verticals, there are few common things like document processing, customer onboarding, background checking, etc., etc. So all these activities follow some predefined rules. That's the reason why it says it has 30% activities. 3 out of the 10 activities which are common to all can be automated. Okay, that is what this survey says. although the domains are different, but there are few activities which are common, and those activities are having a chance of automation, 30% chance of automation.
So it's more like where we have the task are being done under a one roof,
Mhm.
where the different workstations are involved. But I'm thinking from the domain where we have unstructured cubicles are there where different, so basically people don't have a dependency of other one to done to get their task executed and the next task is going to be started. So in that case, this might maybe those areas where those areas are there where RPA may not be working, but most of the
Exceptions,
areas where common tasks where most of the things are repetitive, that can be
yes,
automated.
exceptions are always there, accepted. But yeah, as per this service, it still says that uh, it can, the task which are done can be automated. As rightly Sam also says, uh, automation will replace the task, not the job. That's right. So the tasks are
Yes.
getting automated here.
Yeah.
Yes, when your hand is raised, you can ask what is the question.
Yes. Sorry. I think the question's already asked. However, I just want to clarify on the roles here. Share roles means that those are 820 roles that can be automated and can be shared across industries. Do I understand correctly? Like
Okay.
standardized or standard roles. All right.
Okay. So these 820 roles are across all these domains. Total of
So
820 roles.
bronze is like occupations, right?
Occupations. Occupations in each of these. So total there are 820 roles. That is what it is saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Likewise, a detailed analysis with respect to sector and activity, like accommodation and food services, manufacturing, agriculture. Okay. And predictable physical activity, processing data, collecting data, and what is the chance of automation here. So if the sector is automation and food services, and the activity is, so say suppose, predictable physical activity, then there is a 73% chance of automating it. Okay. Likewise, if suppose I'm doing a retail trade and unpredictable physical activity, chance is very less. Yes, Gwen, go ahead.
Sorry, can you define again what predictable physical activities again?
Okay. Activity which was earlier done by physical, you can say,
Physical jobs,
yes,
like labor.
labor, but it is predictable. I mean, the work is to predict, say forecast or predict something.
Like processed.
Yes,
Manufacturing cars.
exactly. Any sector
Like
you take,
batch collection.
you take any sector, in that, if this is a task, then there is a chance of a 73% chance of automating it. That is what this survey says. So this survey is from that US Bureau of Labor Statistics.
Thank you.
Yes. Again, this is a probable applications. Again, this is a sweet spot, which is coming here in the middle. This is where the focus of RPA is there. Again, these are the 5 factors that are affecting the pace and adoption of RPA: the technical feasibility, the cost, the dynamics of the market, economic benefits, regulatory and social acceptance. And these are different countries with respect to some data. Okay, and yeah, this is again giving you the chance of low and high probabilities. Now, this is a market scenario which I wanted to tell you. is this one. The leader is obviously UiPath. After that, you have Automation Anywhere. Blue Prism is also there. These are the three main players in RPA space. And next week, we'll try to see the working or creating bots using UiPath. So before next week, maybe you can create an account in this. Go to Google, create UiPath account. And there is a download also. If you want to do it offline, you can download. But yeah, there are some problems recently with respect to Mac. If you are having a MacBook, then UiPath is giving trouble in downloading. But for them, you have UiPath Studio. So there are two options now. Okay. One option is UiPath Studio. And the other is UiPath Desktop. UiPath Studio will have limited features, and UiPath Desktop, if you take not a community version, but a normal version. No, UiPath Studio is a web platform. You need not download it. It is a web-based interface. Whereas UiPath Desktop is a software that you have to download, and try not to download Enterprise, but the other option. I don't remember the name of the other option, but you will see two options. One is Enterprise, and one I think is something called as Common User or so. Download the Common User one, not the Enterprise one. And when you download, it will ask you to create directory or create organization. So you have to select that step also, create organization. Yes, Gwen.
Thank you. From what I understand is, so the word, so in the AI word, like the word automation is, I think, very overused. And so from what we learned today about RPA, it seems like automation is completely different from the word they use out there.
Yep.
Well, maybe it's overlapped, but when they talk about the automation in the AI word, they talk about like NAN, Make, Zapier, and so it seems like it's more like individual use out there to just connect our API between softwares. But now we're talking about the software leaders who have, which the software have been used like widely to automate across different sectors, like manufacturing and big cops, right?
Right, right.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Thank you.
Okay, so I hope I told all the prerequisites so that next we can directly start implementing our use of UiPath. But yeah, there are some issues with MacBook. If you can, anybody can do some online research and find out a solution for MacBook. It will help others also, those who are using MacBook. If you're using Windows, there is no issue. We can directly download or use Web Studio. And Web Studio can be used by anybody, MacBook or Windows, but it has limited features. So I want you to use the desktop version. Okay, so yeah, that's it from my side today. Yes, Gwen.
Sorry, thank you. Sorry, my last question.
Yeah.
It would be, so for RPA, now if they want to change to IPA, then it's just they're gonna input AI as underlying system in there, right? That's the next step for all of those software leaders. But do I understand that correctly? Sorry.
Sorry, come up again.
Yeah. So what I mean is, we were discussing about RPA. So now, for example, if they want to change to IPA, or like from the customer demand, they want to input some AI in the system, change into IPA. So they can just simply put the AI intelligence underneath all of these software, right?
Yes, that's right.
Thank you.
Okay, Prince, thank you for putting the screenshot. Guys, those who are downloading this screenshot will help you to which option to be selected for community users, not the enterprise one. For community, yes, not the enterprise. So this screenshot will help you. What Prince Dubey has shared in the chat box.
Will we have access to the slides?
I'll upload it today itself, maybe or at least by tomorrow morning.
I don't know if anybody else, but I can't find the slides for any of the other lectures. Is it just me, or are you guys having the same issue? I
If
don't
it
know.
is a
I
common
think
issue,
most of us,
then
yeah.
yeah, if it is a common, then put a maybe if you have support team contact, you can put it, or else I'll forward it from my side. But yeah, I'll make sure that by tomorrow I'll upload this slide. I'll upload it in the portal that I have access to, the Prism portal. Or else I'll do one thing, I'll forward this to the concerned person also, so that he can forward it, he can share it with you all.
Great.
I'll do both. I'll upload as well as I'll forward.
Thank you. I did have a question, but I think we're out of time. So,
And you can go ahead with your question.
question was about offboarding. When the slide with the life cycle,
Okay.
the RPA life cycle, that slide where you were talking about the process for properly offboarding. I was interested in what was the key areas in offboarding that we, that you consider important that we tend to miss. I think it's the slide after this one. Yes, this one.
The warnings, is it? Can you put your question again?
So, well, what is it that drives the offboarding? The okay, so I can see that processes have changed. The systems that the RPO is being used to connect to, they're no longer relevant. The company's changing them out.
Yes.
I can see those as new technology has come along, new IT directive, all those different things are reasons that I can see folks just discontinuing, wanting to discontinue. So I was wondering, from your experience, what are the major downfalls that people run into when they're off cycling, when they're offboarding an RPA solution? What's a major step out that people miss? Because you did say that there's a proper way to do it. So I'm thinking, well, okay, clearly there are many improper ways to do it too. So what do you see as a step that's that people often miss?
Biggest step is in today's time bias towards AI, because AI is seen as a more fancy term, and they try to implement AI even when it is not required. Okay, for which they tend to discard the already existing automated solutions, which were working very fine. No problem with that. But because either from the, market scenario force, or either from the force of your stakeholders, because you're not using AI, so you cannot market saying that we are not AI adopting, we have not yet adopted AI or so. That is one bias for that improper solution retirement. One of the major reasons also. Another major reason is communication. Before retiring, all stakeholders are not communicated. That is another reason. That is from my experience, I'm telling. But yeah, prime reason is nowadays bias towards AI.
Makes sense.
Yes, they try to use AI even when it is not required.
But not required.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. I hope I clarified all the questions. So if no questions, then we are good to close. We'll meet next week. And thank you for joining.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.